Hi guys, Mons here. On today's episode of Volume Mons, we're going to be looking at the review for Premier League game week 12. I got around watching four games. There's still the Manchester United versus Everton game to go tonight. I'm going to do a separate review on that one after the game for tomorrow. So I'm just going to go through the four games I watched here. Just before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed so far. If you do find yourself on my channel, make sure to click on the subscribe button. Thank you very much. So let's just get started. So the first game I'm going to go through is the Arsenal versus Spurs game. Going into this game, I always felt Spurs had zero chance of winning. I always felt Arsenal were going to win. I always felt Arsenal were going to batter them either ways because, like I said, Arsenal for me are the best team of the Premier League this year. They're the best team I've watched. They're the best defensive team. They might not create a lot of big chances, however, they do seem to always find one or two goals per game to make sure they win. So in this game, before I get started, we heard the Thomas Frank, the Spurs manager, saying Spurs are going to press up, they're going to push high up, and they're going to make life difficult for Arsenal. However, I smelled straight away that I was bullshitting in that when he made that statement, simply because we've seen Spurs this year. That's the complete opposite to what they've done in literally all of their games so far. Most of the games have sat back and taken the pressure and then hit teams on the counter attack. Like I said, Spurs are very, very boring this year, and I just felt Arsenal were going to beat them either ways. When this game started, it was all Arsenal. Spurs should be completely embarrassed of themselves. The way they set up, they literally had no intention of attacking whatsoever. It was always going to be an Arsenal win. The Spurs team had 5 defenders, and basically they had 5 midfielders as well. You have players like Kudus and Odegaard, really pacey players, but not once they try to get them in behind. Arsenal were completely dominant in this game. I know I said Gabriel was missing, didn't play in this game, he's missing for a couple of weeks. However, Arsenal didn't take advantage of that. And in Akape that came in, I think I botched his name, the centre half that came in from Bayern Leverkusen for Arsenal, he did a very good job as well. Arsenal literally were pushing so high up. I think at one stage, literally all the Arsenal players were in the Spurs half, and all the Spurs players were in their half or in their box. It was honestly shocking to watch. If you wanted to watch a good game, it was shocking to watch simply because Spurs had no intention of attacking. It was honestly a total embarrassment for Spurs. They should be ashamed of themselves the way they set themselves up. And honestly, the Spurs fan, there's literally no excuse. I know Arsenal are a better team, but let's give it a go. You lost 4-1 either way, so why not just give it a go? You know what? Like, it's just honestly it's so embarrassing. Obviously, Eze got the hat trick. He took all his 3 goals really well. Sometimes you think football is scripted because Eze was so close to joining Spurs, and then he joined Arsenal. And then, of course, in this game, he scored a hat trick. Spurs are just the funniest team ever. Honestly, they're just a funny team to watch, and their fans always talk big every single time on social media or when you see them in person. But in reality, Spurs are just a shit team. They're second or third tier team. I've always had a soft spot for Spurs, but in the last couple of years, that's completely gone. Simply because the way their fans always going about things, and the way they think they're better than everybody else when they're they're third or fourth tier team, if I'm being completely honest with you. Arsenal showed why I think they're going to be champions, even with their squad is so strong. You see Madueke now coming on. You see Martinelli still on the bench. Trossard having a good game. Saka hasn't been his best, still having a decent game. You have Zubimendi in midfield, was very, very good. However, I know he did make a mistake for Richarlison goal, but Richarlison took that goal really, really well, to be completely honest with you. It was a one-way traffic in my opinion. Very, very poor game to watch as a neutral, but if you're an Arsenal fan, you're delighted. If you're a Spurs fan, you should be disgusted with what you watch. So the next game I'm going to go through is the Newcastle versus Manchester City game. This game I actually picked Manchester City to win because I felt Haaland's going to have a good game and he's going to dominate the game and he's going to lead Manchester City to victory like he's done literally 90% of the time this season. However, it was complete opposite. When the game started, it was all Newcastle. Manchester City kept the ball, but there was no penetration. Doku wasn't great. It wasn't his usual self. He tried his best, but I think they kind of closed it down quickly. They were double teaming Doku most of the time in this game. It was a good game to watch. There were lots of big chances. However, Newcastle spurned away great chances in the first half. I thought it was going to come back to bite them. Voltemada missed 2 great chances, one-on-ones, and Harvey Barnes missed a great one back post in the first half, where if he had a bit more composure and he wasn't overstretching, he would have got it in my opinion. However, he made up for it, scored 2 goals. Harvey Barnes was very good in the second half. And my biggest takeaway from this game is, if Haaland doesn't play well, Manchester City can't win a game. Haaland had a poor game. It's probably maybe first or second game that he's had that's been very poor this season. And I thought Thiaw, the Newcastle defender, did a very, very good job on Haaland. This game was very physical with him. Didn't give him a chance. Didn't give him room to breathe whatsoever. It was really, really tight on him, and and I think it made Haaland feel very, very uncomfortable, and he had a very, very poor game. However, it was a good game to watch, but Manchester City lost, and they've lost ground on Arsenal again in this title race. The next game I'm going to go through is going to be Leeds and Villa. This was one of the games I was actually looking forward to watching. I like watching Villa play, and because last couple of weeks they've been very, very attacking. They score good amounts of goals as well. I always felt Villa were going to win this game, and that's exactly how it panned out. They ended up winning the game 2-1. At the start of the game, it was all Leeds. Leeds were very, very good starting up the game, and of course, Emiliano Martinez again, the best keeper in the world. Shout that he always gets. He made one huge mistake in this game. That was the first goal Leeds got. He didn't even jump off the ground. I was looking for a foul, but I'm glad the referee didn't give it a foul because I feel keepers are very, very overprotected. However, second half, Unai Emery made two great changes. He brought on the guy that I can't remember his name now. What was his name? He brought on Donia Malen, and he brought Matson as well. And he took off Emiliano. I think Buendia went off, and I can't remember who else. I think Buendia went off, and Digne went off as well. And Donia Malen, quick impact. He's actually very, very good. He stretches the defender, and this game did that. It did the exact same thing in the first 5 minutes. He got an assist for Morgan Rogers' first goal, and then Morgan Rogers ended up getting the second goal. It was a free kick. I thought it was a pretty decent free kick. However, it was very, very poor keeping, in my opinion. And obviously, Emiliano Martinez made a brilliant save again towards the end of the game to keep the game at 2-1. That's what you get from him. Great save and a mistake. You get that every couple of weeks. That's what you're going to get from Martinez. The next and final game I'm going to go through is going to be the Wolves and Palace game. This is going to be a quick one. First half was very, very boring. My goodness, it was one of the most boring first half I've ever watched. What I would say about Wolves is they looked a little bit harder to beat in this game. My apologies. What I would say about Wolves is Wolves looked a little bit harder to beat and to break down. Palace had issues trying to break Wolves down in this game at the very, very start. However, I felt like if they kept chipping away, they were going to break them down. Eventually, that happened in the second half. A 2-0 tidy win. However, what I would say about Palace is Mateta always, whenever I watch Mateta, all around good forward. However, he always seems to need 2 or 3 chances before he can score one. I would like to know what the percentage of big chance missed Mateta has had this season. Wolves, they need something going forward. They just need something. They need a midfielder to break the line going forward. Montesi is very, very poor, especially going forward. He's a good athlete, up and down, can run all day for you. However, going forward, technically, he's very, very poor. Wolves don't have much going forward. They do have Jørgen Strand Larsen, very, very good centre forward. However, they don't create enough chances for him. I believe if they create chances for him, he will take it. So I think going forward, I think Rob Edwards might be able to set up the team better, maybe coach them into creating more chances. I don't know what he's going to do, but he will have to do a good bit of coaching for that team for them to even have a chance of staying up. But I do feel like Wolves will be going down this season. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I want to do a Manchester United review and Everton review towards tomorrow or the next day after the game is over. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it to the end of my video, make sure to click on the subscribe button. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Peace out.